stand up against cancel culture and free speech.
I love that story. There's like so many different layers to like just the addressing of I am the greatest of all time.
Well, see, you don't even know.
That's the best.
Like you don't even know how that was again.
But they know they've got they had the audio on that one story I sent you of him saying it was said exactly. It was exactly the way you think he said it.
I know, but
it was the how dare you question me.
Yeah.
There's not been a lot of reportage of like what exactly they said. I mean, I'm again assuming that the material was hilarious as always.
No, it was about, he was questioning Demi Lovato's recategorizing herself as whatever that
non-binary. She's non-binary now.
Right. That's all it was. That's all it was. He was being a 65-year-old guy. Right. You just can't fucking understand what the fuck is going on.
And that's the other.
When you were 14 and on the Disney Channel, you were hot as shit. And then now you're fat and you're a singer and you've declared
that's the other part of this is he shouldn't be talking anything about Demi, because again, he's 5 years older than you are. So it's like, who the fuck even gives a shit?
Right. Yeah. The answer is, why does he still exist?
Exactly.
Okay? I mean, just numerically, he has outlasted everybody.
Right.
Literally everyone.
And he should be dead. I
thought he sucked 40 years ago.
Oh, he did. He did. He sucked in 5 different decades now. There's no question about it. There's just really no excuse.
And he bestowed upon the world Karen Blake. Okay.
Yeah. There's all of that.
By the way, that's a whole other story, which I don't want to talk about.
Right. Would you rather? One of the great moments in radio history, but I assume that on Reddit, he's become like the greatest hero of all time now because he stood up to the cancel culture or to whatever. I suppose that is now his new role.
I don't think he stood up, but he didn't stand up for. That's
the
point. He didn't stand up for.
He didn't do anything. And I just hate that Lenny Clark got like roped in, because I like Lenny Clark as a comedian. I think he's a good guy, but Lenny Clark,
he's like the Bill Burr of Boston, right? It's like the same thing. It's the same guy.
It's not. I mean, I think Lenny Clark's a pretty nice guy, and it's not just. I mean, I interviewed him at one time, and I think he's a perfectly fine guy, and he's never been an asshole as far as I can tell, and he's had a long career. Generally, an affable human being. He just tries to, I just hate it. And the other part of it is that Lenny Clark thinks that somehow we've lost a great comedian if Maddie is somehow thrown off the airwaves. It's the layers of it are so good. That's what
there's not the beauty. There's not one thing right. There is not one thing right.
And the beauty of the Boston, he's in Florida. He hates you so much in Boston and can't deal with it. And that he just does the show from Florida now. That's also another great part of it too.
Is he in Florida?
Yeah, that's what they said in the article.
Oh, I didn't see. You know what? I couldn't read the article because I have it's out of free.
Oh.
He's
in Florida. He was reached in Florida where he's been working. But it's like, that's funny. But again, I'm glad he survived it.
Well, you know the reason, because he's that good.
He's that good. He's just that good. That's all that matters.
Come on, man. Come on, do it. All right.
Ready when you are, sir.
Okay. I do have the Tim Ryan rant.
Oh, good.
hold on. I've got an echo problem here that I'm going to have to deal with before we start to figure this out. There.
No more echo?
I think I got it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
All right, it's our last Brad and Britt cast for this week. We're glad you are with us here.
So for gosh sakes, let's try to make this good.
Yeah.
It's our last impression to leave these folks with.
Mm-hmm. Through the weekend. You wanna play pick one of three? Want to play that game?
Always a fun one.
I enjoy it.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. Number one. J.D. Vance takes a chance and drops his pants. I'm shocked that there's politics going on in Washington.
Okay.
Or is Don smarter than Madoff?
Jeez, these are tough. J.D. Vance, who has become such a spokesperson for Trump America for 1,000, Alex, even though we can't say Alex anymore because he's dead. The J.D. Vance story.
You know what? I think you can say Alex. Okay.
Oh, can you? It's as a tribute, as a tribute to the dead guy.
Yeah. Well, it shows that he is bigger than the very concept itself. So, and everyone knows what you're doing, and you're not making fun of. I say sure because what are you supposed to do? Presidents for $400 substitute host.
You can't until they figure it out.
You can't do that. You can't.
And the other thing is, like, Alex Trebek is the dead guy we want to remember, and Rush Limbaugh is the dead guy we want to forget. I think that's the situation there.
Boy, the truth of that statement is so overwhelming that we might want to just stop right there.
That's all we got for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just head on out.
We're not going to do better than that. We are not. All right. So I bought that book 4 years ago by J.D. Vance. I paid whatever retail it was because it was the book. It was the book for people right after the 2016 election, like me, maybe like you, who wanted to see, not that we didn't know, but we wanted to see the writings of a guy who had grown up in Appalachia and had done very well after that. He escaped the poverty, he escaped the drinking and the fighting and all.
This was supposed to be a real insight into Trump's America, the Trump voters.
Right. Absolutely. Middletown, Ohio, which is between Dayton and Cincinnati, is where he ended up. And then you liberal coastal elites like Brad Krantz, you got to get some insight into the folks in real America. Right. Because remember, Britt, the years I spent growing up in Columbus, Ohio, 1 to 10, the years I spent in Cleveland, for 3 or 4 years after that, the years I went to the Ohio State University for 4 years, 3 years, 1 at Kent, the 4 years I worked in Columbus after that, that was all wiped from my mind. I had no memory of that, what that was like being from the Midwest and those cities. Once I moved to New York and Boston, Washington, to spin discs and yak at people. I just forgot all about it.
Clearly, as a guy who grew up in Transylvania County, North Carolina, I have no insight about anybody in Appalachia. So let me just see what this guy has to say, and maybe I can figure this shit out.
But Britt, you're so close to the Atlantic Ocean. You're a coastal elite. Don't you realize it?
With my ivory tower education and my huge 2.7 GPA.
All right. So he writes this book, Hillbilly Elegy. He had gone to Yale Law School, and it was a memoir kind of his life. And now you could understand what a lot of Trump voters might have been thinking back then. But since that book became a gigantic bestseller within a year or so,
and a movie now on Netflix,
he started to get a little bit too big for his britches, in my opinion. Okay. And if you find what he's talking about and writing about and tweeting about these days, he is all in. He's going crazy about liberals wearing masks. He was in D.C. the other day. Here's what he said. I saw a group of girls on the Potomac rowing outside in the sunshine, all of them with masks on. Totally insane. And he is defended not the memory of Alex Trebek, but of Rush Limbaugh. And he is standing up for Tucker Carlson about charges of white supremacy hurled against poor Tucker. And he is pissed off at Facebook and Twitter for knocking out Donald Trump. And the simple reason is he wants to be a U.S. senator from the state of Ohio. And I'm not going to do what every cliched person in broadcasting does these days and call it the great state of Ohio, because it ain't too great. They're thinking about bringing in J.D. Vance to succeed Rob Portman. So what happened here? Guess who his buddy is? Guess who his sponsor is? His sugar daddy. It's Peter Thiel. It's Peter fucking Thiel. Jeez. Okay, the asshole billionaire from California. He's been an early investor in a lot of really famous names that you've heard about.
I think he's never heard. I think he's a self-described libertarian. He wants to build these island nations where, like, there's going to be no rule from any sort of government or anything like that. Isn't that Peter Thiel's wet dream?
I'm sure that's one of many.
Yeah.
You see what I did there? Anyway, Peter Thiel has already thrown $10 million into a PAC for J.D. Vance to run for the Republican nomination, obviously, for Senate in Ohio. I'm telling you, that's a rogues gallery that rivals our own here in North Carolina. Wow. And it is amazing. It is amazing that he would become that, but it does happen. It does happen to people. And, you know, it's one of those ones that's going to be worth watching as it starts to coalesce late 21 and then into 2022, right? Okay.
Well, I mean, he's already, like, for all of these people that are trying to cling so close to Donald Trump. I don't know if he's been down to have lunch at Mar-a-Lago, but at some point, you know, he might have that picture with him stuffing his face full of food and Donald Trump with his Diet Coke. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Well, I don't think that would be out of the question at all. And here's why. Because Thiel is buddies with Trump.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's your three-way as far as that goes. You see what I did there? Sorry. Okay.
Have we gotten any confirmation that Trump has moved up to Jersey for the summer?
I think he has. I think I've seen it. Yeah.
Well, God bless the Garden State of New Jersey.
If you're rich and you're still in Florida this far into May, you're not that rich. Now, of course, we know Trump really isn't that rich, and he fakes it. But okay.
Is that really kind of a thing?
He just got $1.5 billion. He just got $1.5 billion of new credit from some bank.
Oh,
what the hell is that all about? Who's giving him credit lines? I wouldn't give him a credit card. I would, if I was Capital One, I'd say, "What the fuck is in your wallet, fat boy? What get out of here?
Take us out of your wallet." That's what Capital One is saying to Donald Trump. That's funny.
Yeah.
Is Don smarter than Madoff? Do that story.
Well, this is my supposition here, because there's some parallel fun things going on in the world, and I think one of them is that in the last 2 days or so, we've seen federal charges move from the civil arena into the criminal arena against Donald Trump. And that's like jail. That's not, a fine. That's not, okay, don't do it again.
Right.
Criminal. That's criminal, and that's where you have to worry about: is your orange hair going to clash with your orange jumpsuit? That's a real problem.
I see what you did.
And so on it goes. And this is all about: will Donald Trump finally have to face the music that he can't put his hands on his ears on and say, la, 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 can't hear you. And all of his supporters will say, la, 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 la. Nothing's different. Nothing's changed. I still love this guy. He's the greatest ever. Because, I think they've got him, and they've got him for the reason that all people like that ultimately are the authors of their own demise. They think they're always smarter than everyone else, not just in the room, in the building, but in the world. And Bernie Madoff definitely, clearly was a psychopath who thought that, and he got away with it forever until forever ended. And I think that's where we are with Trump, where we've somewhat thrown our hands up in the air several times, where we've said, this is the one that's going to nail him. He will never be able to run for president because he did this. He said this about John McCain, or the money that he ordered Michael Cohen to pay to Stormy. That's it. That is a campaign violation. He is dead. All right. So he skated through all of those. He got impeached twice and got off. They'll never get this guy. He's just untouchable. He's going to go all the way. And that's 100% true until it isn't true. And the walls truly this time, we've said it 100 times, are closing in. And they're closing in because they're going after other people. They've been tagging this guy who was the finance guy, the money guy, Weissenberg, for a couple of months, couple of years probably. And they're going after Weissenberg's association with Donald Trump as the guy who cooked the books for 40 years for him and his father, for Fred Trump, where he started it. He was in his early 20s when he started working for this stupid ass family. It's the only job the guy's ever had.
Right.
And so he knows everything. They know he knows everything. And he's got his own family members, Weisselberg, who are in trouble, because it looks to me like Trump, like any good mafia boss does, pays for stuff for you off the books, and you are beholden to him. I'll buy you a house. I'll pay your kids' private school tuition. Nobody has to know about it, Weisselberg. I'm Donald Trump. I like you. Here's the money. There's no tax trail. There's no record of it. But Weisselberg knows the money went through some account somewhere. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. They don't handle this in cash. So there are all kinds of things that Weisselberg is on the dock for. And this extends to Trump's own kids, to Don Jr. and Eric and Ivanka Trump. So we're going to see the classic prosecutorial roll-up that really is used in RICO cases, racketeering cases, mafia cases, which, of course, Rudy Giuliani knows very, very well. He's been on the other side of prosecuting those. And I think we are closer to the day than we know of charges being hurled directly at Donald Trump in the criminal realm. And I know our first response is going to be, oh, that's going to help his ratings. Oh, they're going to love him even more. Oh, he's that rogue you brought home to mommy and daddy. And no, it ends sometime, at some point. And I think we're closer to that. That's why I asked, is Donald Trump smarter than Madoff? Well, Madoff was pretty smart until he wasn't. Okay. And by the way, I didn't realize this. They got back most of the money, almost all of the money that was involved in the Madoff scandal. They were able to track it down, and they were able to get back money from people who had cashed out earlier in the Ponzi scheme, unbeknownst to them. But still, you're not entitled to the money because, the stock of Exxon didn't really go up. You just got a statement that made you think it did. So you don't get to keep the money. But they nailed him, and Madoff died in prison, as he should have. And they're holding this kind of end for Weisselberg, and it could be for Donald Trump. Do you want to die in prison or don't you? Trump isn't going to have that choice. Weisselberg can turn state's evidence, can flip on Donald Trump, and probably save his own skin and the skin of his son or whoever else is related to him. And it's not that much of a covered story right now because there's so many other things that are going on in the world. We know that.
Well, but
it's worth noting.
The significant development was that the New York State Attorney General has joined with Cy Vance at the Manhattan office as well. So at some point, you're right. The noose is tightening, and it's not only going to be a question that's going to be posed to Donald Trump. It's the people around him. They're like, you can continue to be loyal to this guy the way people have his entire life, or you can save your own ass for half a second. And there's going to be a tipping point at that, whether it's Weisselberg or whether it's somebody else who knows where the bodies are buried. It's like,
right.
I've done this guy's bidding for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Maybe I'd like to die in my own bed and possibly see my grandkids. I mean, that's the sort of thing that's going to be.
But here's the problem. Trump definitely doesn't care about, I want to see my grandkids.
Oh, no, not him. It's not. No, fact, but the people who can bury his ass, the people who can bury his ass do want to see them because they're not sociopaths, allegedly.
Right. But Trump really is the living example of what you used to say about ambitious people in all other realms. He'd run over his grandmother to succeed. He'd run over his grandmother to make $1,000. Trump would run over his own children. I believe if they said to Donald Trump, and this isn't going to happen, okay, because Trump is the big fish that they really want. But if they said to Donald Trump, why did this happen? Why did that happen? What's going on? I'm positive he would say, well, that was Eric's job. That was Ivanka's job. I knew nothing about that. That is going to be his line of defense on everything. And that's been what he's done for 40 years, learning from Roy Cohn, which is take credit for everything, take responsibility for nothing. I had nothing to do with anything like that, the fake charity. By the way, I do want all you folks who have your degrees from Trump University, they're just as valuable today and tomorrow going forward as they've ever been. You will not be penalized if something does happen in a legal sense to Donald Trump. Your Trump University degree is still your ticket to knowledge, to greatness, to success, just like he said in those commercials. Okay.
The alumni network for the Trump University, they're going to take care of each other. Obviously, that's a very extensive alumni network, and those folks are doing just fine. So I wouldn't worry about it.
What are the chances that Trump University is going to join the ACC?
I wouldn't doubt it. I think they're going to be, I don't know if they're going to be in the coastal division or the complete bullshit division. I think that's going to be the real question for the commissioner to look into. But yeah, I think they're a lock for the Atlantic Coast Conference. The Trump University dickheads, the fighting dickheads are now taking the field. Your final category was, I'm shocked to find that there's politics being played in DC.
Yeah. And you know, this is fairly dry stuff talking about this presidential commission or this congressional commission that would investigate and put out front everything having to do with what happened on January 6th that was voted on Wednesday in the House of Representatives. All the Democrats voted for it. 35 Republicans broke with the party line and voted with the Democrats. So in the world in which we live, that is an extremely bipartisan statement that there should be an official 9/11 commission style investigation of what happened on January 6th. There's no doubt. And of course, if you follow the news, you know that over in the Senate, the formerly the world's greatest deliberative body, if in fact it ever was, every Republican is just lying through their teeth. There's no reason for you to listen to anything any of them say. They're just all full of it. well, it's all about politics. This is a 2022 strategy. Or I like this one. You know, there are congressional there's already other investigations going on. And you know what? If I were the Democrats, if I were Pelosi, if I were Schumer, I would say, you better believe it. You better fucking believe. Go back and look at your video of your Benghazi investigation. Those were all Republicans up there, if you remember.
Right. I do.
And they never stopped. And you know what? Didn't. That was nothing compared to what happened on January 6th.
That's true.
And this is the most disingenuous, lying, covering up for Donald Trump. And by the way, I think it's lazy to just say that, well, the reason that they're all afraid to vote for a commission over there in the Senate, they're all afraid, and the ones in the House, is because they're just afraid of Donald Trump's mean tweets. That's pretty simplistic. It's obvious reductive on its face.
Yeah, it's fairly reductive.
But there's more than that. Yeah. First of all, you have a lot of these people who really believe, they truly, truly believe that Donald Trump is the duly elected president and was denied in the election what should have occurred. And these are people that, remember, they voted to not certify a couple of states on January 6th. Remember that? Mm-hmm. It didn't all go smoothly after all the rioters were cleared out of the Capitol. It wasn't just a smooth running machine. These people really believe it, many of them. And to just say that, well, they're just afraid of Trump, that's the only reason. We cannot for one moment leave out the fact that whatever fear they supposedly have of Trump tweeting about them, if he ever gets on Twitter, or issuing a statement on his blog that no one reads about them, or coming into their district and campaigning against them at the primary level. Don, you know, this is get a fucking hobby. Okay. But okay. They're supposedly afraid of this. It's way beyond that. A lot of them are complicit. They were in on it. There are text messages on their phones with the rioters. There is no doubt about it. They were in communication. There were some that gave those famous tours the day before. No, they don't want it on national television in a commission setup situation where they would have to tell the truth. Kevin McCarthy doesn't want to have to talk about what he said on a phone call to Donald Trump in the middle of the afternoon, where he said to Trump, "What the fuck are you doing? Get this shit stopped." He doesn't have to say that, because that would, again, these are about their personal career goals. We understand that. So when someone asks, well, why are the Republicans against this? Your answer must be because they think it's their best political strategy, and they don't give a shit about the country, and they don't care if it happens again. And they don't care that if it happens again, the blood, which is already on their hands from January 6th for either explicitly or implicitly supporting what happened, it wouldn't just be on their hands. It would cover them. It would look like Carrie. It would, it looked like Sissy Spacek with the blood all over. How'd you like that? That was a good one. That was one of my better ones.
That was a nice one. That was a
good one.
Right. It was very evocative.
Did you know her? Did you know that the co-star in that was Gabriel Kaplan? He was in the show Welcome Back, Kotter.
Sure, right? That was it. That's the one.
Yeah.
I never tell you about my uncle who bled all over the place. Julie, do you give any quarter to people who don't vote for the commission or support Donald Trump or whatever at this point, who are fearful for their own personal safety, that some of the murderous Donald Trump sleeper cells might come out and try to kill them? Do you give any quarter to those folks?
None. Zero.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
No, because they've all got security. They've all got as much security as they want to.
Well,
and
they do.
By the way, if that is your reason for voting this way, you might want to look for another line of work. It's time to get out.
They've got security to a certain extent, but their family back in, wofuck Tennessee or whatever may not have that sort of security, and the marauders may come and try to string them up.
So hang on a second. The way you're posing this question is you kind of understand it. You're saying you understand it. You're giving him space.
I don't give them space for that. I think they should speak out and they should go. I'm very, and you're right. They should resign. If you're fearful, if your job puts you in a position where you fear for you or your family's safety, you should probably go ahead and I'm out. I'm going to go home and I'm going to go bale cotton, or I'm going to go and I'm going to do sell insurance or whatever, but I'm not doing this anymore. I agree with that. But I think there's a certain element of that, and they can't really even admit that, because that really kind of proves the entire point. That the marauding troops were dangerous on January the 6th. They've been dangerous on March the 6th and April the 6th, and they're on May the 20th. These people are still, this is another part of it that's not really being covered, but I think it's implicit to folks who understand, like you and I. This isn't over. The excuses that have been made for these people have emboldened them. The ones that didn't get caught and the ones who didn't go to DC and they're out there and who are willing to literally kill for Donald Trump, they're out there waiting to be activated.
Yeah.
And that's happening right now.
By the way, I did a little bit of research on the history of commissions to investigate stuff. And when do you think the first one was? Who do you think the president was when the first commission occurred?
The one like the teapot scandal or something like that. Maybe.
No, it would
Teapot
be
Dome
George
scandal.
Washington. Washington appointed a peace commission during the Whiskey Rebellion.
Oh, okay.
That was when the people in the western part of the country, some people in Pennsylvania, they didn't want to pay no fucking excise tax on whiskey. And it was a big crisis for George Washington.
And the overwhelming Naziistic federal government, because Nazis weren't even a thing then clamped down on those people and made them wear masks.
Right. The jackbooted thugs of the federal militia went in, forced people to wear masks, and then pay the tax.
That's what it was.
On whiskey. Right. We want to be historically accurate here. We don't want to make any.
That's correct.
But there have been commissions for just about everything. They had a commission to talk about whether there should be Social Security. They've had presidential commissions after everything. There was the big presidential commission in 1967, 68, the Kerner Commission to investigate poverty and the causes of it.
Iran-Contra was a big one back during the 80s, as I recall.
Right. So there is actually a long storied history of these kinds of commissions. And to listen to Republicans lie and tap dance, and we can say this here, shuck and jive.
Hello.
And pretend that this is some kind of outlying weird political move that must be crushed because it's just outrageous. Again, it comes from that category of stuff that we have over here on the shelf. We bring it over. It's the how dumb do they think we are? How dumb do they think we are that what we all saw, what we know is true, what is fact, what is real, what will burn in our history books forever that happened on January 6th was nothing more than a stroll in the park and some tourists who got a little rambunctious, a few of them, and we need to move on. Oh, that's another one. I love this one. We don't need this. We shouldn't do this because we have to talk about what's going on now and in the future for the American. We can't do both, Britt. We cannot do both.
This has become business. By the way, this has become my favorite argument is I'm more concerned with blank. I'm more concerned with blah, 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 blah. As if, like, as you say, we can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Right. We have other things we're trying to say no to all the time. We have a lot of shit that we're trying to squash.
I'm more concerned with this cancel culture. I'm more concerned with the indoctrination of our children. I'm more concerned about Israel and their right to protect themselves. I'm more, there's always that argument can always be about anything.
I love this. Let's play the Tim Ryan clip. This is Congressman Tim Ryan, who would also like to be a senator from Ohio and get the Democratic nomination. And
him against J.D. Vance would be an interesting contest to have those two squaring off against each other, wouldn't it?
Yeah. By the way, if I would have gotten down to this on my list, I was going to tag this as Von Ryan expresses himself. You see?
I see what you did.
That was a movie.
Yeah, a thing. And then there was the Ryan Express. There was Nolan Ryan. And then there was...
Yeah, here we go.
Is recognized for 30 seconds.
I want to thank the gentleman from New York and the other Republicans who are supporting this and thank them for their bipartisanship. To the other 90% of our friends on the other side of the aisle, holy cow. Incoherence. No idea what you're talking about. Benghazi, you guys chased the former Secretary of State all over the country, spent millions of dollars. We have people scaling the Capitol, hitting the Capitol Police with lead pipes across the head, and we can't get bipartisanship. What else has to happen in this country? Cops. This is a slap in the face to every rank and file cop in the United States. If we're going to take on China, if we're going to rebuild the country, if we're going to reverse climate change, we need two political parties in this country that are both living in reality, and you ain't one of them.
There you go.
I think I like the passion that he brings. He's very appealing. I mean, he's the kind of guy I could see running for president one day.
He already did.
Well, I'd like to see him do it again because I think he's got a lot to offer.
He's good.
Now, these reports are now coming out about Chris Cuomo urging his brother to stay in office and giving him tips on how to do this, the sexual harassment stuff. Do you think that this is going to bode well? Do you think that Chris Cuomo is going to be able to survive this? Because it looks pretty bad right now.
Why? I'm not quite sure what rule or what law or what tradition was broken there, because he doesn't now talk about Andrew Cuomo in the hour that he's on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not quite sure what the problem here is, except that I'm sure that there's all kinds of caterwauling from Fox News that this is the worst breach of journalistic ethics ever in the history of the world. And
right.
That what's I don't even know what the story is. Why would he not be talking to his brother about this, and what is the problem?
CNN anchor Chris Cuomo advised his brother Andrew, the governor of New York, on how to respond to sexual harassment allegations against him, urging him to take a defiant stand and refuse to resign, according to a Washington Post report. Cuomo, one of the network's top stars, joined a series of conference calls that included the Democratic governor's top aide, his communications team, lawyers, and a number of outside advisors, according to people familiar with the conversations, who spoke to on the condition of anonymity to describe the private sessions. This is from the Washington Post, Josh Dowsey and Sarah Ellison, two of their star reporters. This behind-the-scenes strategy cuts against the widely accepted norm in journalism that those reporting the news should not be involved in politics, according to the reporters. And according to the Post, Chris Cuomo urged his brother to take a defiant position, reportedly using the phrase cancel culture as a reason to hold firm in the face of the allegations and refuse to resign. This is part of the story that they're going with, that some people say is not going to be very helpful for Chris Cuomo. Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure that you're right. Of course, it's not helpful to him. But I'm not sure that this would apply in this case, because they're related.
Mm-hmm.
For that very reason. Does Chris Cuomo need to do that? Did he need to do these things? Did he need to not publicly, but everything gets reported. You can't do anything privately except take a walk with your brother out into the woods and have a conversation.
Well, I thought you were going to go old Yeller, walk him out to the woods and shoot him, and that's the end of it.
Right. It's the old. Did you exhibit really good judgment in doing that? Could you not have just, in a private phone call said, "This is what I think," and been done with it? The answer is yes. He could have done that. So he's putting the people that he works for in a difficult position, because here's the problem. If they just play just like Israel has a right to defend themselves and they can lob as many fucking bombs into Gaza as they want because they were bombed. If your position on Chris Cuomo is Chris Cuomo can do anything he wants because he's Chris Cuomo and he's our guy at 9:00, the chances of that staying firm are not very good, because
that's not a good argument. That's not going to be a good argument.
Broadcasting, this is TV, and they're not Fox. Okay. No. Where it doesn't matter what Tucker Carlson, but even Bill O'Reilly got run out of the building.
He did.
It happened. They ran him out.
The biggest star. He was the biggest star in cable news, and he was eventually shown the door.
So I'm not sure that to me personally, I don't really give a shit that he said those things, because what if he would have said the opposite? In a private phone call with other consultants, Chris Cuomo told his brother to get the fuck out, resign, give in, let the jackal pack run you over. You're a wuss. I mean, of course he's going to say what he said.
Well,
right. Okay. So the substance of it to me is nothing, but we say this all the time. You need to be smart enough not to give whatever quote the other side is. And in this case, it's not just Fox that's going to trash him and go after him and lecture Chris Cuomo on journalistic ethics. Just stick your finger down your throat when you think of that concept. This is Sean Hannity, who stands at political rallies and introduces Donald Trump during a campaign. I mean, again, they have no standing to say anything about Chris Cuomo, and therefore they will anyway, and their audience will lap it up, and they will say, this is why we watch Fox, because our guys have integrity, as opposed to Chris Cuomo, who's a political hack who has a show at 9 o'clock. I mean, that's the problem. It's the old Dick Nixon. I gave him the sword. I gave them the sword. And that's Chris Cuomo has done not this, but several other things over the couple of years he's had the gig. And he hasn't had the gig that long. What's he been on, about 3 years?
Something
maybe
like that.
4. That's all.
In a statement to Mediaite, CNN says that Chris has not been involved in CNN's extensive coverage of the allegations against the governor, on air or behind the scenes, in part because he has said on his show he can never be objective, but also because he often serves as a sounding board for his brother. However, it was inappropriate to engage in the conversations that include members of the governor's staff, which Chris acknowledges he will not participate in such conversations going forward.
Well, there you go.
So that's the slap on the wrist, and apparently they're going to stand by him.
Well, and that was my initial reaction when you first told me the story, because I didn't really know much about it. And I said, yeah, it's you should have done it, but it isn't the end of the world. But boy, you don't want to have too many of those sitting in the boss's drawer, because one of these days he's going to open that drawer and pull out, the sheet. Because as you know, bosses just write things down on paper these days. That's how they do things.
It's never about the thing that gets you. It's never about the bullet that eventually gets you. It's like the one before that. You seem to have gotten past that one, but then there's another infraction, and they go back and they pick up the previous incident and they double down. that was always my experience. Now, before I present this next piece, let me just stipulate before I even say, no, it doesn't matter, and a million things can happen between here and 2024, and it is. I get that, but you've no doubt seen the new survey showing Joe Biden with a 12-point advantage over Donald Trump in the 2024 election. Which, again, it's stupid to poll this far out. We still have a 2022 to go. There's a million different things here, but it's very interesting to note a few things. Let me drill down on a couple of the poll numbers that I thought were very interesting.
Where's this poll coming from?
It's from Yahoo and YouGov. It was like 1,500 folks, I think, that they surveyed overall, and I'm not sure if they're likely voters, registered voters, or just random human beings or folks that
they could be drunk voters. They could be drunk voters.
It's possible, because should President Trump run for president again in 2024? Among Republicans, 68% say yes. Among Democrats, 87% say no, he should not. Now, this is where I found it very interesting.
Stupid. They should want Trump to run for president because he will get his ass kicked.
Well, now this is where I disagree with you. I can see Donald Trump winning in 2024. I can. I don't think it would be easy, particularly with voter suppression and the way that they're trying to do that, because that is the name of the game right now.
They've already tried that. It's not working. It's not working in the suburbs. Where educated white people don't get trapped by voter suppression. They abandon the Republican Party all over the country.
What is the name of the Jonathan Allen book about Joe Biden winning the presidency? It's called Lucky. That's the name. And it's not an ironic title. It could have gone very easily the other way. It was a bare victory for Joe Biden.
But I don't see any evidence that between last November and now, Donald Trump has picked up material support around the country that would help him in all those states that he lost. I just don't see it. They should want him to run and let every other Republican running for office in 2024 be asked over and over and over again, where were you on January 6th? What did you do when it came time to vote to investigate what happened on January 6th? Was Donald Trump connected with what happened on January 6th? Why has Donald Trump never conceded? He has never conceded the 2020 election to Joe Biden. What? Okay, and we're not even counting the fact that between now and then, by the way, between now and 5 o'clock today, he could be indicted. He could be indicted.
Which again, as you pointed out, would make him.
I'll play the game that this.
That'll make him more popular.
I'll play the game.
That'll make him more popular, as you
with who?
Just pointed out.
Who? The people that are already loving his ass.
Well, that's a fair point.
The Democratic motorcycle riding, Birkenstock wearing hippies who will come over to Trump's side because he's being harassed by the man. You're nuts.
Let
me answer this.
We have to get through some of this. So please, get to a stopping point.
Here it is. Listen, 2 days ago, Joe Biden went to Detroit.
Yeah.
And went in that same factory, that same Ford factory that Trump went to during the pandemic, and made a complete ass of himself. Remember that?
I do.
Where he had his mask off in public when everybody was wearing a mask. Well, this is part of his fuck you. I'm not going to be shown wearing a mask. And that was where I believe that picture of him wearing a mask behind the scenes was there. He was a complete jerk. Okay. And the most memorable image of Donald Trump and vehicles during his presidency are the ones of him in that truck looking like a 4-year-old going pretending he was a truck driver. Okay. Joe Biden was in Detroit this week at Ford, Dearborn, Michigan.
Right.
And he got into an electric Ford F-150, the one that is rolling out today. It's getting just incredibly good reviews.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be a winner. I mean, holy shit! Who the hell thought of the idea that if you buy the upper end one with the longer battery, you can power your goddamn house for about 3 days when the power goes out. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars on one of those Generac things that put out the car will be your backup battery.
Here's how Fox covered the story. That's their takeaway from Detroit.
That. Just put that down. Take that off. Britt, you're all, God damn it. I'm trying to make a point here. I'm trying to make a fucking point, and you're putting up bullshit. Okay. You're putting up bullshit. Okay?
Make your point about him in Detroit.
The point is that Joe Biden gets into the truck, and he's wearing the aviator glasses, and he drives the truck, and he talks about how great the pickup is, how fast it is, how it's the future. That's the difference between Joe Biden. They can make as much fun as they want to. You can try to divert me talking about this by putting up the bullshit that Fox puts up there, that the one Palestinian representative in the United States apparently destroyed Joe Biden while he was in Detroit. Is Biden's support over in Michigan? That's how fucking Fox is going to lie about that. And you just went for it. But okay.
Well, I'm not going. I'm just showing how nonsensical.
Bullshit, Britt. That's bullshit. That's not the story.
It is.
I'm telling you the visuals of Joe Biden being the real guy who drives a real car, a real truck. And by the way, I don't know if you know this story. You know what car Joe Biden has? And he doesn't drive it very often, but he has it. It's in storage in Pennsylvania. He has a 1967 Corvette that his father gave to him back then. It's a real car. I just can't imagine a cooler car to own than that. Donald Trump is the limousine riding. What was Ric Flair's bit?
Limousine riding, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. That's what
exactly was. And the difference, I think, is stark. It is huge. And when all you can do is go down to some stupid ass country club mansion horseshit place in Florida after you've left office and not do a goddamn thing for the country again. Forget that Jimmy Carter has spent his post-presidential years in service to the country and to the world. If you could turn that upside down, you're going to get Trump, right?
No, exactly.
Who's going to do nothing for anybody, like he always does nothing for anybody. And he's going to carp and whine and pretend that he's still a factor. Donald Trump has about as much chance of number one, escaping all the kinds of legal problems he's going to have, and the ability to be a functioning, sentient human being in 3 more years, because the Alzheimer's is ticking every day.
Sure.
He's going to be a lot worse than when Bob Cousy returned at age 41 to play a few games for the Cincinnati Royals. The worst comeback ever by an old guy.
It was
in NBA history,
but still the greatest the greatest Holy Cross player in NBA history, I would say.
And I know there are guys that are since then that have been older than 41 who play. Did Jerry Stackhouse play forever? Is he the one
did for a long time? Yeah,
he played up like 43 or 40. It can happen.
As I was saying,
Trump is dead. They can poll this. They got, again, this is from the, don't you have anything else to poll?
Well, I mean, but really. This is the interesting part. Should President Trump run for president again in 2024? They broke it down in incomes under 50,000, 50 to 100,000, 100,000 or more. Trump doesn't get a majority in either of any of those categories. 28% of those who make under 50 grand a year say he should run again. 34% of 50 to 100,000 folks, and over 100,000, it's only 35%. So I thought that was very interesting. He didn't have. How
does that equal to the composite number? Didn't you say the composite number was way higher than that?
No, I was saying the under 50,000. The people who say that Trump should run again is 28%. 58% say no.
I know what you just said, but didn't you say at the beginning when we started to talk about this that the big number, how many Republicans want Trump to run again? Wasn't it a lot higher than that?
It's 68.
That can't be though. That doesn't make any sense.
That's exactly what has happened.
I understand, but you're reading something that makes no sense.
You should talk to
you can't have a third or so of every age group saying they want Trump to run again, and then put all those age groups together, and suddenly that's 68% of everyone. That can't be. That doesn't work that way, Britt.
There it is. You should.
I know it is, but that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
So the number on its face with Joe Biden having a 12% lead over Donald Trump, you would also call bullshit on that as well.
I'll call bullshit on the whole idea that we've been talking about this, and the proof is that somebody there needs to be taken out and shot, because there's that makes no sense, Britt.
And
you can't have a third of this group, a third of that group, and a third of that group, and then put it all together. That equals a third of the whole group. There's no other way to do it. You can't say it's 68%. It doesn't work that way. That's not how it works.
Well, I thought this was good news for Joe Biden. When we break down those income variables that we're talking about, Donald Trump doesn't get a majority in any of those. Under 50,000, 50 to 100,000, or 100,000 or more. Joe Biden wins all three of those categories.
I think that the only mistake is that big number. Somebody just doesn't know how to, calculate, because there's
you think
it doesn't make do you understand what I'm saying here?
I do understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying.
So do not for one second go, well, this is what it said. No, I don't care what it says. It doesn't make any sense. And by the way, that the less, about a third of people overall, that's what matches up with the reality. That, because this is a guy that never got more than 44% total approval rating by the country, and he's done nothing to improve it. And he had a high approval rating among Republicans all the way through. But gee, is it actually possible that that's really dropped a lot since he left office?
Because it's somewhat possible.
We can't go by what talk radio hosts say, what is said on Fox, the continuing need to defend him, by fearful Republicans in Congress who are still afraid of a guy who may have 1/3 of the Republican Party as support. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They all know this is the big this is the big lie. The big lie is that every one of these Republicans knows that Donald Trump is not their future. He is their horrible, horrible past.
Yeah, but at this point, it's all they got. It's at this point, it's all they got. They're not trying to invest in anything else. They're not investing in anything else. They're not trying to go. I mean, they're kind of showing some love toward Tom Cotton. They're kind of showing some love toward Ted Cruz.
But you've seen those polls. Like nobody polls above 6% or 7%.
Of course, because he steals all the oxygen out of the room. There's no question about that. And even like you said, he's not their future, but that's all that they've got. And they're not trying to do really anything else. Instead of trying to say, well, no, they're rushing down to Mar-a-Lago to have lunch with him and have their picture taken with him and show how much loyalty they have to this guy. So you can't in the end go, well, we probably should have tried to move away from that guy, because none of them are. I'm sorry. There's
Britt,
like two of them.
There will be a point in the future. There will be a point in the future where Trump is dead. That's going to happen. And by the way, Britt, check this out. And of course, we pray that's many, many, many years from now.
20, 25, 30 years from now.
Good health and long life.
But wait, if he does
there will be a moment where where they move on. Think about this. When Reagan left office in 1988 and George H.W. Bush became the president. Yeah. He really was an extension and the beneficiary of people who voted for Reagan. They voted for Bush and he beat Michael Dukakis pretty handily. Right. And off they went. So they got 4 extra years out of Reaganism in the presidency. They got it. But Reagan didn't leave office with what Trump left office with. No. Okay. So Trump, who, and again, think about how many times he lied over the years and would say, I'm the most popular Republican ever, because he had this idiotic, 80%, 85% approval rate. And he tried to lie to you and to me and to everybody and to other Republicans into either believing or wanting to believe or accepting his crazy ass worldview, that because he had this approval rating among Republicans, that was going to translate up and down the aisle through every election. His coattails were unlimited, and he would get reelected because look at the love he had. Joe Biden, any Democrat for the 4 years didn't have that kind of approval rating among Democrats, so therefore Trump was going to win. What a fallacy. You want to talk about a statistical line of bullshit? Think about that. Right. Think about how irrelevant that really was in the end. Now, here we are. We're in the post-Trump era. We're 6 months in or so, and he's done nothing. He's done nothing. Let's say Ronald Reagan had only served 1 term and decided to retire, and then George H.W. Bush got elected for the next 4 years, and Ronald Reagan made, I think I'm going to run again. He probably could have gotten reelected that time, right? He could have gotten nominated for a second, but that's not this. This is not that. Okay. No. You left and you left. And the moment you left, you had a fucking insurrection and an attempt to overthrow the United States government. Quit saying you want to run the United States government that you discount, that you hate, whose system is not one that is amenable to you. You don't like democracy. You want autocracy. You want a dictatorship. No, you're not getting reelected. It ain't going to happen. And no, Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't going to lift you up in Georgia to some resounding. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Well, we cannot allow ourselves for 1 second to let this crazy human being, and I'm insulting all human beings by saying that.
And crazy ones.
I'm not sure that he is one. I'm insulting crazy people too.
Yeah.
I know they poll this kind of shit all the time. And you know what? I want another polling of who would you like to be stuck with on a plane for 4 hours sitting next to?
That's not.
I want that one again. That's my favorite poll.
I do. That. And or stuck in an elevator with or whatever. But the real, and again, as we hope nothing but the best for Donald Trump Sr., if he does end up behind bars, will they try to do photo ops with him like they did on Mar-a-Lago, where you're there smiling with him and handing him a Diet Coke through the bars or some shit like that? You know, are they going to try? They have the visitation room, and you're there. He's giving you the thumbs up.
I will tell you this. Now think about this for a second. That's the one point where it truly would all stop. There would be no pictures. There would be no. So there would be no TMZ.
Really?
Do you see any evidence, like with someone like Michael Cohen, who spent what, a year and a half in?
Yeah.
You never saw one picture of him. It didn't happen.
The
prison system takes itself pretty seriously, even if Trump would be going to a Camp Trump cake. You see what I did there?
That's what you did. It would hurt my feelings to think that the incredibly genuine relationship between Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump could end with incarceration. I mean, I refuse to believe that.
Okay, here's our big poll question. Which federal prison, which state, it'd be like trying to get the national convention in your state.
Oh, come on, Butner. We got Butner. We've had that. You talked about Madoff. Jesse Jackson Jr. was there. North Carolina has to get him.
Yeah.
Come on. We have to win this.
Yeah, well, they are very experienced with the highest profile criminals. You're right. Didn't what's his name, the Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard?
Yes,
wasn't he there?
Yes, Jonathan Pollard was there for like 30 years or something. And I mean, because every time something like this would happen, okay, every time you'd have a conflict between somebody and it would be Hamas and Israel, they would go, okay, here's the negotiations. We're going to ceasefire, and as part of this, the United States, you got to free Pollard. We would go, no. We're not going to. We're not going to free him. That's not part of this. Do whatever else. And it would come up like 50 times, right? Every single time this shit would come up, and they would go, Pollard, who is in prison in North Carolina. And it was for 30 years. They went on and on and on. Please, I want to put the bid in now. It is like the NCAA tournament. You're right. I want Butner to be the host of Donald John Trump Sr. when he is eventually convicted. I want that to happen.
So, and we know he's not going to end up out in Colorado in that Supermax prison where all the true dregs are.
If he's convicted in New York,
Unabomber is Ted Kaczynski. Isn't he still out there?
I think so. He's not. But he's convicted in New York. Does he get to go to Sing Sing? Is Sing Sing still a thing?
Oh, you know what? You're right. He's going to be convicted in the state of New York.
Yeah, they can't.
Again, factual error on the Brad and Britt cast. The second one today. The first one was that stupid Yahoo 68%.
The poll that doesn't add up.
The poll that makes no sense. But you are totally right about. Well, there's. I guess Rikers Island is not but Rikers Island I don't think is where you. It's not a permanent kind of place. I think it's a way stay.
Well, look,
I could be wrong. I don't know.
Our governor Roy Cooper could reach out to Cuomo and go, look, your hour of need. Maybe you don't have the room. Maybe it's not a security thing. We've got this place out in bumfuck North Carolina. We have experience. We'll take him.
Wait, I have the actual answer. Get ready. Comedy's coming. Ready? It doesn't have to be an official prison. They can just send him to Buffalo for a couple years.
And that's our week.
Who would want to be there?
That's the week that was. Donald Trump shuffles off to Buffalo.
Yeah.
We'll see you on Monday.